Hi guys, welcome back.
Hi.
All right, we're gonna tackle
a big one.
Yeah.
Intimacy.
Yeah.
We've just been talking a lot, not even only today, but kind of for a few months now,
Yeah.
even longer. I mean, it's been a while. We've talked about it a long time because just really trying to figure out, again, talking about our husbands and talking about this relationship, this intimate relationship that we have with our spouses.
Yeah.
And
not only that, but I'm getting it with my clients too. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's something that many people struggle with.
Yes.
And struggle with in different ways. I mean, there's different ways not only to define it, but then
Right.
you know, the struggles that we have with it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, that's true because it could be, my thing with intimacy was, sitting on the couch and talking and having that connection and all that, the romantic stuff, which my husband really is not. That's not really his forte. He never was really like that. And it was so funny because that's always what I wanted. And I was thinking, well, what am I thinking here? And then blaming him for not doing these things and knowing my love language and all that crap, And then that's, outside of the bedroom, but then there's also the intimacy inside the bedroom, which is also a very difficult subject to talk about.
Yeah.
Not only because we were just sitting here talking, not only just with friends, but like with our spouses.
it's so hard.
It's so difficult because, I'll kind of give an example. So the other night, my husband and I were having a discussion at dinner, and I think I touched on this in the other video, but he, being his generous, wonderful self, I had said something about my parents, and he is always so giving and wanting to go above and beyond, and I'm always like, bare minimum, which is so crazy. Sorry. I think it's okay. But I immediately was just like, I already did this, it's fine. And he's just like, well, no, this, and this, we need to do this. And I was just like, no, we don't need to do that. It's fine. Whatever I did is fine. Again, just being in my own head, my own story. I had it all planned out. And he was just being his generous self and just saying, well, no, we should do this and this and this. Okay. So again, I was automatically upset with him because I had my idea of what it was, and he jumped in there and did that. And I didn't see the beautiful gift of it until later. So then, we're going to be a little personal sharing here. He wanted to be intimate that night. And I already had the story in my head of what I was going to say to him, and I said it. Soon as I said it, I felt terrible because it really was not genuine. I had thought it out. I had planned it out. I was already in the future. And I was kind of, how can I get out of it?
This is a valid excuse.
Yep. Yeah, thinking, oh, this is a great excuse. I don't have to do anything about it. And then as soon as it left my mouth, I knew it was wrong. It wasn't
disingenuous.
It was so disingenuous and hurtful in the sense of like, he immediately looked deflated. Like he immediately was just like, really? And I couldn't bring myself to say,
no, not really.
No, that's really not it. Because I kind of knew what it was, but I didn't want to tell him. Now, the beautiful gift was, as I had said it to him and it left my mouth, I immediately started doing the work. He rolled over and went to bed. I immediately start doing the work. And as I'm doing the work, I'm like, you silly lady. All you had to do was just tell him, hey, I don't want to, but I'm not really sure why I don't want to. Let me figure this out, and maybe we can try later or tomorrow or whatever. Just having that simple little conversation with him, that simple explanation, being humble, being vulnerable, and saying it was all I really needed to do. But that was so scary. I couldn't do it.
Well,
I chickened out.
Totally. No, but I mean, as you're telling this story, I'm thinking a couple things. One, like, how have they taught us that that's not okay? In some, like, in my own experience, it's kind of the pouting.
Yep.
And as people pleasers,
Yeah.
very difficult to deal with
Yep.
the pout.
Yep.
You know, and so we want to think, we definitely want a valid excuse.
Yeah.
Just to say no for myself, like, you know what, honestly, I'm just not feeling it.
Yeah.
That feels selfish.
Yes.
And so there's like a bunch of things where we're experiencing, like, I guess because I was thinking about how you had taught your husband to last minute tell you he's not doing something.
Exactly.
But in the same respect, kind of, I think there's this expectation and pressure that women feel from men, or maybe not. I mean, I think we kind of experience it where it's like there's this expectation, like, you should do it.
You're my wife.
Exactly.
You're here. You're supposed to please me. You're supposed to meet my needs. You're supposed to you know, and it's like, huh?
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
What if I don't want to?
Exactly.
But then it's like, but why don't you want to?
And then that's the crux of it.
Yeah.
And I think many women stop at like, I don't want to, so screw you.
Exactly.
Like, I'm going to stand up for myself.
Yeah.
I'm going to be, you know, like, I don't have to do this.
What you want me to do.
Exactly.
This is what the Bible says. This is what society says, that we have to bend over and be doormats for our husbands and be these Stepford wives, you know, all this stuff. And it's like,
and while that may be true, and while there may be some real truth that women have to find their voices. Yes. The voice is not to then blame the man.
No.
The voice is to say, okay, why do you feel this way?
I know.
Why do you not want
and being able to communicate that with your husbands and say, or your spouses, and say, gosh, you know, I really don't know why, but I want to know why. And I want to have that connection with you, but I need to be able to have this time to myself to figure this out. And for them to really understand that and hear that, and I think most of them would.
Exactly.
If you can be really authentic, like we were talking earlier about being authentic and just vulnerable and share with them, I think they would be so much more open to that. And actually, I kind of know they will, because I have shared that with my husband before.
Right. And I was just going to say, my husband and I have had that conversation, had those difficult conversations where I've had to be like, I'm not feeling it, and I can't figure it out. Yeah. And his first response was fear. Yeah. And then you have to
he's trying to find his little spot on the chair.
Then you have to like be okay with that. Like, it's okay that you have fear. I understand that, because it seems to him like, you're taking this away from me. I might never have this again. Right. But what you're really trying to say is, no, I want it to be joyful and happy for both of us. Right. And I want to be coming from like a place where I want to.
And want to. Yeah, exactly.
And so there has to be that moment of discomfort. Yes. And you can't run away from this discomfort and try to, paint over it and be like, never mind, let's just do this.
And I think that, as you're saying that, I think that's, for me, that's what I've been doing for so long. Right. And because it's so uncomfortable, it's so scary. It is fearful. Watch your foot.
Oh shoot, sorry.
That's okay. It is scary, and what's so funny is that this is our spouse. This is our person that we're supposed to love, honor, and cherish, and we can't even express that with them. Right. Like, for goodness sakes, So it's just a whole.
It's process. It is a process. Yeah. Because I think then what we come back to, and what we've discovered in our own processing this and everything, is that I think many women are stuck in blaming the man. Yeah. Right? They expect this.
They want so much from us. Exactly. They need this, and we sit there and we do all this stuff for them, and this is what they want. Why do they want that? Just the whole story.
Right. And there can be an element of truth to that, right? Yeah. I mean, there's an element of our society where that's true. But the deeper, real truth is that this is really just saying something about you and how you're showing up in your marriage. Right. And until we take the next step to say, okay, what is this saying about me, and what do I need to heal? Right. Because I can't be authentic with him, because I can't be intimate. Because intimacy,
it's so much more really than sex.
Yeah, it's more than sex. Yeah. Some people say, oh, we're not intimate, we're not having sex. Right. Other people say, we're not intimate, we have sex. Right. But we're not playful, or we're not,
Right,
we're not snuggly. And
Yeah.
so it means different things.
Yeah,
for
there's
different
such a wide
people.
variety. Yeah.
So it's kind of a broad umbrella. But the reality is that intimacy is really about how comfortable are you with being vulnerable with yourself.
Yeah,
And
because
being
that's really who
honest.
we're being vulnerable with. Because I remember doing the work on this, I've done the work on this several times, trust me, and just really trying to get to that root of what's the reason why I don't want to be. And one of them was avoidance. And I want to avoid him. Well, again, this goes back to my earlier conversation we had about texting, I miss you. It was like, who are you avoiding? Yeah, I'm avoiding myself. I'm not avoiding him.
Right.
I'm avoiding myself. And in the long run, I'm then shunning him. I'm hurting him by pushing him away because I'm avoiding myself. I'm
Yeah, you don't wanna
avoiding
deal with it.
seeing whatever it is I'm seeing that I don't want to see.
Right.
So there's so many layers to it, and you just really work at it, and it's not an easy process.
No.
And it's
You might be stuck in I don't know for a long time. I mean, we've been stuck in I don't know for a long time.
Yes.
And you have to be patient
Yeah.
and continuing to communicate.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest key is that communication. Just like we talked about in the other video, is about just really being able to communicate with your husband, even though you may not know why you don't want to, but just being able to say, no, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
But trust that you can come back then and have that conversation when you kind of figure it out, if you can figure it out.
Well,
Right?
exactly. Because I think for me, the other part for me that's really hard is that I often come up with different reasons why. So as I'm peeling back the layers, it's like,
Because it's so
you don't-
multifaceted,
Yeah.
right?
It's because, I just want more like intimacy in our day. I want more
Yeah,
connection in
right.
our day.
And then you try that, and then it's like,
Oh,
that really
wait.
wasn't it.
No, good job. but
Yeah.
No. Like he's always showing up.
Our
like,
poor
okay,
husbands are like, what? I'm like on this ping pong table, like all over the place. What are you talking about?
Right, exactly.
Oh, that's so funny.
And
That's
so,
so
like,
true.
I was thinking about just today how I like came up with a new idea. I was like, oh, I want to experience more playfulness and joy.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that might be
That
wrong
might-
too. But
True.
it's so there's a part of me that's like, I really don't know. So I'm just trying all this.
Trying all this
It's
stuff
like
to really
throwing
throw it
stuff
out
at the
there.
wall.
Yeah, hopefully they'll like stick around and be there with us. And
But haven't we found that our husbands are? I
They
mean,
do. They're so
loyal, and
forgiving. Oh
they
my
want
gosh.
to. They're like, okay,
yeah,
because I think they really
they
appreciate
do.
that we're showing up authentically. And
Yes.
I'm like, oh, I don't like this. Can
Yeah, I
you
don't
help
know.
me?
Can you? And I think it's that authenticity, that vulnerability. When we can share that with them, I've noticed, at least with my husband, he is so much more open.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
it takes a long time to get there, and it's taken me a long time to get there. And sometimes when I am vulnerable, he does have immediate reaction, and it
we
gets
have to
very
work through
it for
immediate,
sure.
Fear reaction,
Yes.
or anger reaction.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's taken several months. It's been about a year. I mean, really having these difficult conversations. But then he's realized some stuff and I've realized some stuff. I mean, it's really brought us a lot closer.
More intimacy.
It's more intimacy.
More
there you go.
true intimacy and
Yeah.
connection.
It just takes a long time. It's hard. It's not easy. Again, it's that feeling again, those emotions, feeling those very uncomfortable things that we have pushed aside for so long. I mean, both of us, we've been married, 16 years? And we're just now kind of getting to that point of like really kind of discovering, why is it that this feels this way? Because this is kind of coming in thinking about so many of my friends are either going through divorce, separated, in very just unhappy marriages, and not really understanding why. And I know how that feels because I've been there and thinking like, well, is this it? When the kids leave, is this, what do we have? What is bringing us together? What is the intimacy that we have? And until you kind of do the work together with your spouses,
Right.
it will fall apart. I mean, because there's really, what's going to hold you together? Because we're so distracted with the kids and the work and all of it. It's just life kind of gets in the way. And until we can really figure out some of these difficult things, it's, I don't know. It's hard to keep it together.
It is.
It's a lot of work.
But I mean, like, that's so. Sex, intimacy, all of that really requires a lot of trust.
Boy, yes,
to
it does.
enjoy it and really feel the connect and really like make love, as they say. You know what I mean? Like that loving act.
Yeah.
The trust has to be there.
Yeah.
And so then showing up authentically and saying, I'm not feeling it. That takes a lot of trust.
And a lot of courage.
Yes. And when you don't have the answers to fix it, solve it,
that's
make
very
it
scary.
Different, like immediately, and you have to sit there and kind of like I don't know.
And if you're not willing to even go further with that, I think that's where a lot of people sometimes maybe get stuck.
Right, and
they see that, they know it, they kind of feel it, but then they don't know what to do about it.
And that's exactly what you're talking about with all of these marriages falling apart or when kids leave. The distractions force you to deal with what's real and what's there.
Yep.
And if you haven't practiced the art of being authentic and that trusting of like, okay, I'm about to say something that's like you are not
You're
gonna
not gonna like it. Yep.
But I have to be truly authentic. There's so much beauty and trust that comes from that.
Yeah.
But until you take that plunge, you'll never know.
No. And I think the easy way out is separation, divorce, because you don't want to have to look at that. You don't want, I mean, it's scary, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's so uncomfortable.
And the biggest fear is that you won't ever find the answer.
Yes.
That it's just like, oh, no, we'll never get it.
Or that you'll get it and your spouse won't.
Yes.
That's scary.
Right, exactly.
Right? You'll get it and be like, oh, but this and that. And then you don't have that trust there, if you don't have that level of, I don't even know what the word is.
To do the work
to work at it together.
Like be there with you.
Yes.
It's like, I think, my husband is just like willing to be there with me. And that's meaningful.
Yeah.
And if you don't have somebody who's willing to do that, that can be very difficult, right? And scary.
Yeah.
And then to kind of put it in God's hands and be like, okay, all I can do is show up authentically, and then that's all I can control.
Right.
And then you let God do with it what He will. And that.
But you both have to be open to it. I mean, it's really it is a mutual thing with you and your spouse. I mean, you both have to be open to it, because it can just be like you could be doing all this work and discovering all this, but if they're not open to it.
And then if you need to leave that relationship, how much better off are you going into the next relationship? Understanding
because you could just jump into another relationship without actually really even doing the work.
Right, exactly.
So,
but if you find yourself and you're the only one doing the work and they're not showing up,
right,
and then you have to say, okay, this relationship doesn't work anymore. I've got to step out of it. Then the next relationship you find, at least you've done the work.
Yes.
And you can look and find someone who's willing to do that work with you.
Right.
But again, scary, because nobody wants to hear the answer.
Oh, yeah.
This is not working.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's scary. It's it's very tough. But
as with all the work,
beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It is, because I've seen those little glimpses.
Yeah.
I've seen those little glimpses within my marriage, and it's just like, whoa, it's so powerful.
Things you wouldn't even imagine. Right? You know what I mean? It's like you have all of these ideas about who your spouse is.
Yeah.
You think you know them very well. But that's
you really don't.
You playing a role and them playing a role.
Yeah.
And until you break out of that role and do something really authentic, really uncomfortable, really honest, you don't ever give them the opportunity to do the same.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And and so once you are brave enough to step out of that and be like, okay, look, here's just where I am.
Here's it,
Then, man, it can be a pleasant surprise.
Yes.
To see them show up authentically, honestly, bravely.
Yes.
It's like, what?
And I don't think they even know that they had that in them either.
Exactly.
You know, they didn't know they had that strength, that growth within them either.
It's so true.
It's so neat.
But there's magic there.
It is.
If you can be brave enough to kind of step through the scary.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always happen immediately.
No.
And
I mean, it's like we said, it's taken several months, and again, we're still not quite there. I mean, we're just like, oh, we're trying this, we're trying that, but just being able to try together, try it and see, and then if it doesn't work, but then again, communicating with each other, and then really seeing next time, but just really being that authentic person and showing up, no blaming, and really being clear about that. Because I sometimes, it was so funny, my husband and I, we had gone to counseling years ago, and one of the jokes that the counselor said was, I have my Irish humor. And she would always say, "Oh, you have your Irish humor." And I was like, "What does that mean?" It's just like, it's just sarcasm, basically sarcasm. Okay. And so my husband will say it all the time. He'll be like, "Oh, that's just your Irish humor." And I just get so mad at him. Yeah. I'd be like, "Irish humor," But now it's just like, okay, yep, you're just showing it to me again, right? You're showing me that I'm doing this again, and that hurt, and that I need to check myself, because that's your way of telling me, yeah, you're not being so kind right now.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's hard to hear.
And then, and so how have they tried to communicate to us?
Yeah.
Through little comments like that are scary to be truly vulnerable and be like, that was hurtful.
Ooh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But until we start like taking the step of like communicating clearly, without our body language and our passive aggressiveness, but just kind of vulnerable, like, oh, I don't know, that made me feel unworthy. And again, that's my unworthiness. It has nothing to do with
them. And that's the other thing, is that, I don't know if we've already talked about this, but they are never doing anything to us. Just like, I used to tell my students this all the time. No one's ever doing anything to you. They're literally just showing you that it's something within you that you need to really work on. And I think our spouses just take so much of that, and I have not done a very good job of communicating that with him, and just being like, it's not you, I'm so sorry. They're always like, oh, it's you, it's not you, it's me, kind of thing. The whole thing, the whole old dating thing, it's not you, it's me, which is it is true.
Yeah.
It's not them. It's never the other person. They're just showing you how to work through whatever it is you need to work through, but you have to be able to communicate that, and that is definitely something I have to work on.
Yeah. For sure. Oof. I think we all do.
Yeah.
But yeah, intimacy is a tough one, and I think a lot of people struggle with it. But if the one takeaway for me is the more honest and trusting you can be with yourself, and you just kind of trust what you feel and put it out there, the more intimacy grows.
And it'll play out the way it's supposed to play out.
Exactly.
If you're being authentic with yourself, with your spouse or anybody, if you're being authentic with yourself, it'll play out the way it's supposed to play out.
Exactly.
And it'll all be okay. Yeah.
And be like, oh, that didn't work out.
That didn't work the way. Yeah.
Never mind.
I'm not going to do it again. When it's like, nope, you need to do it every time. Just be authentic, and it'll all be okay.
And it will be okay.
Yeah.
So true.
Yep.
Ooh, I love it. All right.
Good deal.
Good luck, you guys.
Take care.
See you next time.